Today, I want to talk about trust issues. I've only ever been let down by the world. Let me explain. People may care about you, but the world doesn't. You know where I come from, so this will make more sense. Every single department of society has failed my family. You see, when my sister was in the hospital for the first time, she was bruised from head to toe. Her face was so purple that you couldn't even recognize her. The nurse said she was beaten pretty bad. There was even a dent on the side of her head. So I called the police on my sister's boyfriend, who left the hospital quite fast, and the cops took him in. But when I asked why he wasn't later arrested, they said, well, he said he didn't, and we have no proof. And they said that over my sister's purple body, and they let him go. Law enforcement did not enforce the law. That's why I don't have much reliability in police. The day right before my sister was healed and supposed to be released, she coded blue, meaning her heart stopped working and no blood was sent to her brain for about 15 minutes. And when we asked the nurses what happened, they were really suspicious. They were avoiding us, and you could hear it in their voice that they were nervous. They said they had no idea what happened. One of them said that maybe her boyfriend slipped something in her food while they were away. We said, what? What kind of excuse is that? What happened to her? Did you guys make a mistake? She was supposed to be released the next day. Now she's come back to life, but she's paralyzed now with a brain injury. Where were you? And where were you? And none of them had an answer. Keep in mind that a few weeks before, they had this procedure where they wanted to amputate my sister's arm, and because they thought it would help. And my mother said, no way. Don't you dare cut off her arm. If you do that and she wakes up, she will hate me. And they said, ma'am, we're the experts. This is our medical opinion. And my mom said, well, this is mother's call. Find another way. Because medical opinions are often shortcuts for their own benefit. And the next morning, my sister had 2 arms. The procedure was over. And we went up to the doctors and said, so you didn't need to cut off her arm? And they said, no, it worked out. All good. Yeah. You see, to them, it's just a job. My sister is one patient out of a dozen new ones each day. They clocked into their shift, but in regards to their actions, they don't have to feel what a family has to deal with for their entire lives. It's not their blood. And then when I tried to sue the hospital for medical malpractice when she had coded blue, no law firm responded to us. I mean, I went down the list. When I ran out of California lawyers, I was seeking lawyers from Nevada. And then even if you do get a lawyer, there's so many upfront attorney fees that no person can really pay. The firm that eventually took the case dropped it. Now, those are moments in life that you never forget. When your hand is shaking, and you're on the phone, and the world turns its back on you, and every establishment, from police to hospital to lawyer, designed to help you, doesn't even exist if you come close to it and try to touch it. It's like if you walk up to their glass and you touch it, it shatters. It doesn't exist. That's betrayal. Even to this day, my mom and I see firsthand the coldness of the medical system. So, yeah, my sister's in a state where she can't stand up for herself. So anytime she's ever mistreated, my mom writes an email to the hospital and reports it. Things like staff not wearing a mask during COVID, us walking into her room and finding her own mucus and phlegm all over her body that they were supposed to clean, or them just being really aggressive. So just inadequate medical treatment. Sometimes we'd call to check her vitals and they just hang up on us. Whenever they're angry, that's what they do. And the hospital was so fed up with my mother that they evicted my sister from the hospital. They said you have 30 days to find a new place for her. And I wrote them a letter back saying, you're going to evict a patient just because you don't like its visitor? Why are you punishing my sister? That's so wrong. Do you see how unjust that is? And then they backed down, and then they later responded with a restraining order filed against my mom so that she couldn't visit my sister anymore. Now all my mother is doing is standing up for a life that's unable to represent itself. The legal term for it is conservatorship. And she's an awesome mother, and she has no reason to complain if proper care was given. But they label her complaints as aggressive harassment simply because they don't want to have to actually do their job. They're just liars. And they make moves like it's just a game of checkers when, again, we have to deal with the true devastation. So do I trust hospitals? No. It's a hot take because they saved the world during COVID, but two truths can exist at the same time. Just because their uniform symbolizes service and care doesn't mean the people wearing them serve and care. They think they have this badge. It's still a business. And many doctors exploit that cause of helping the world. And they just use that as a shield to get by and avoid accountability and win over the masses to mask cases of harmful negligence. And I've had a nurse tell me that doctors keep sick patients sick just to rack up insurance money. It's shady. So those are my experiences with institutions that convey the message of help, but have done nothing but hurt my family. I thought people go to law school in the name of order so that they can defend and protect the vulnerable. I was wrong. No firm took that case either. Not one. You see, the medical malpractice and personal injury lawyers, they like the slip and fall cases and the dog bites, not ones outside their usual wheelhouse. The case managers on the phone, they would say, "Wow, sorry, Mr. Vento, I've never heard anything like that. That is terrible. Let me bring this to the attention of the attorneys." And then you never hear from them. And then if you bother them enough, they say, "Call the state bar. They'll help you with your next steps." That number doesn't work. I'm serious. It didn't work for me. My mom's next to me crying, and I'm calling these numbers for help. Even talking to a real person that's not a machine is nearly impossible. Who created these routing systems? And what hurts even more is their phone menu. Like, press 1 for English, press 2 for the HR department. There's this whole path you need to take, and they saved the last number, number 9, for "Would you like to speak to a person?" Which is basically them saying, "We really hope you never reach this point. It's number 9 because we don't want to talk to you." So, lawyers, police, hospitals, it's all broken. I have seen them with my own eyes reject you, fail you. I don't trust them. And I'm not a rebel. I'm just saying I'm not convinced that the institutions claiming to help you will ever truly help you. Yeah, they haven't exactly swayed me to put my life in their hands. I guess what I'm really trying to say is, to keep both your arms, you kind of have to be on your own. How does this tie in with Actum? Well, I'm not interested in misleading you. I hate liars. Our mission is grounded in reality. I don't want to be high on my own supply and think, your nonprofit's changing the world if it's not. I mean, who are we kidding? If this was a video game, this mission is at 1%. We need to get to 10%. But so far, even the 1% that we've achieved so far relied on other people to do their job, and they don't. We have to deal with other companies to achieve our mission, which I hate because they let you down, and the system is incompetent at every step. I've waited voice crack, sorry. I've waited 3 months and sent emails to 2 different nonprofit attorneys. And they were supposed to help me with the paperwork to answer some questions, and they didn't even respond. The very people who are supposed to help you make a change won't help you make a change. And when you get down to the specifics, the world doesn't work. It's like you think it's working because you're focused on your own way of life. And, the world's running in the background, but the second you try to interact with it, it crumbles in your face. These are all the steps that you need to do in order to establish a 501c3 nonprofit. 1, register with the California Secretary of State. 2, get your EIN number. 3, apply for the 1023 form to be tax exempt. Now beware of the incoming list of failures. So to get our EIN, you apply on the website. And of course, the website is down. I called. The man on the phone said that all month long it won't work. So, even their maintenance notice was false. Then we had to apply directly with the IRS for the 1023. And the IRS website very clearly states to enter Form 1023 in the search box. Well, if you do, you'll never find it. It doesn't show up. We have to follow so many of their rules and answer hundreds of their questions, yet they can't even give clear instructions. So it really made me think, if it's a pain in the butt for us to even sign up with the government, if the government makes it so hard for us to even form a nonprofit to create universal housing, do we really think the government will ever build it themselves? So that was Form 1023. I can't wait for this next one. And then your organization needs a physical address. And I work from home, I'm in my room, and since the address I put on paperwork is public domain, it's not really safe to use my physical address. So I had to get a mailing address at the post office. But unfortunately, most carriers can't deliver to P.O. boxes. But for a little more money, wink wink of course, you can purchase a street address, which is advertised as a premium service, but it's just a standard P.O. box. So, I'm like, okay, you gotta do what you gotta do. So I show up at the post office, I say hi, I filled out your form, I'm ready to pick up my keys. And the clerk says, oh honey, it's Thursday. And I said, yes ma'am, it is. She goes, my manager likes to leave early on Thursdays, as if I was supposed to know that. And she said, no one is available to give you your keys or process your application, you'll have to come again later. Because someone left work early, because it was Thursday. So do you see the friction you face when trying to participate in the world? It frustrates and it scares me that we have to rely on other people because there is so much room for error. And human error I can tolerate, but laziness, you gotta go. And so immediately I bought a second P.O. box on my phone, drove to a new store, found a manager that doesn't leave work on Thursdays. And once I got the key, I refunded my first order and achieved the mission in maybe 30 minutes. When someone tells you that you can't do something, most people accept it as the absolute truth. So they turn around and walk back home. You have to push back. Now, the irony is that when I bought that second P.O. box at the post office, I never got mail. Extremely important documents would be sent to that location, and every time we opened it with the key, there was nothing inside. And when I complained to this new clerk, they said that there is a manager that's actually in charge of the post office's P.O. boxes, and that person who can help you is on vacation. And a customer behind me told me that she hasn't received her mail in a while either. So I was like, oh, I'm not the only guy with a problem. Looks like no one gets their mail here. That's suspicious. So I even went somewhere else and sent myself mail to that P.O. box just to see if it would arrive, and it didn't. It's been over a month. So next week I'll probably have to find something that works. Lastly, we need to set up our bank account so that we can accept donations. But in order to open up a nonprofit bank account, the head of the company, myself, needs government identification. I changed my name recently, so I had to get updated IDs. Now, the California DMV claims to have sent my ID, but I never got it in the mail, so I asked for it again. They said I have to wait 30 days before I can even make that request. I made that request. And so 30 days later, they sent it. I never received it. So now I'll have to wait another 30 days. Again, that's 90 days since the start to even get a government ID. Now you're thinking, okay, wait, you can just go up to the bank, show a different kind of primary identification, like a passport. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because it's just ridiculous. Okay, so I applied to get a new passport and filled out this name change form. Sent that in, I received it. I opened the package, got a brand new passport with my old name on it. It was a processing error. Filled out a name change form that they asked for, just for the U.S. Passport Agency to send me an incorrect passport. So that's the holdup, and I'm waiting on these things, and I don't like waiting. Because, okay, honestly, if you want the truth, because you can die at any time. Literally, that's what I think about. I can just walk out of my apartment and die any day this week. And it makes me paranoid because I care about this so much that I don't even want to risk random death. I need this to move forward a lot each day before I go to bed. And those are the stakes for me, because we're human and we're mortal. And I want to see universal housing, and I'm not sure if anyone else will really do this, but it just astounds me that you can't depend on the world, no matter how much it advertises itself as dependable. If you want to get something done, you must see to it that it gets done. Friction is something that I've really been getting used to, and to not let it deter you from your goal. Anyway, I gave you guys all that proof to say I don't trust the systems of the world to take us to where we deserve to go. If some place makes money off our suffering, there's always an ulterior motive. You can't trust buildings, institutions. The only source of life you can trust is what you find out. Too many times I've been referred a phone number and reached the end of the road. And I'm tired of finding out there's no one there. Actum has no other choice but to pave its own way. The roads we live by are fake. And we need to make real roads.